Hey everyone, we're going to get started in a minute. Just waiting for the attendees to join us. So welcome everybody. Hope everybody's having a great Friday. And people are coming in. I think we have about 47 attendees today. And according to my handy dandy counter, we've got 26, 27. So we'll give it a couple of more minutes and then we will start the official forum.
It's Friday afternoon. Everyone might be
I know.
planning to watch the recording.
Well, still a couple of people coming in. Oh yeah, somebody just posted in the chat that it wouldn't let us in until just a second ago. Yep. I'm here and it is all about me.
That's right, Beth.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, we've still got a few people coming in. Give it a couple of minutes. Yeah, apologies, everyone. We had a little bit of technical difficulty at the beginning, and we needed to ensure that all of us were here. So we did get started a little late, and thank you for your patience. I know there's nothing like hanging out in a Zoom waiting room, waiting to be admitted. All right, well, I'm going to get started. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. I'm honored to moderate this forum designed to more directly connect our nominees with our NAEA membership. I don't think this is an issue for today, but just for informational purposes, when you're going to the website, we do refer to those slated by the nominating committee as nominees and those who are running from the floor as candidates. So campaign statements are available on the NAEA website, and we will be dropping links in the chat box for your convenience. We appreciate all who submitted questions in advance, and we have considered all of them, edited some of them for clarity and length. Unfortunately, we will not be able to present questions proposed during the presentation. We are recording today's presentation, and it will be posted on our YouTube channel along with Monday's presentation, which I believe is already up. And voting will open, it'll be taking place between December 1st and the 15th, and all balloting will be via email. So first and foremost, on behalf of the nominating committee, I want to thank all of the NAEA members who presented themselves for consideration. We appreciate the care you brought to what is a very involved process, and we truly appreciate your willingness to serve. And here's the format for today's event. For those who joined us for the Directors Forum on Monday, or maybe viewing Monday's presentation at a later date, I pose a question and then I call upon each nominee to respond to the question. And this will be a little bit different from Monday because each of the candidates, each of the nominees will be responding to the same question. And nominees, so you don't have to worry about keeping track of what the question is. And so you'll be able to sit back and enjoy everyone else's responses. I will repeat the question for each of you. And after we've covered all of the questions, each nominee will be able to present a 3-minute closing statement. And the order of those closing statements was also determined randomly. And let's see, one last thing. On Monday, we had a couple of questions posed in the chat box that were directed only to the host and panelists. And I just wanted to say, as the moderator, my ability to personally monitor the chat and answer questions is limited. So we do have some helpers, but they're signed in as attendees, not as panelists. So if you have something that you want to say in the chat that you feel needs an answer, please post it to everyone. Otherwise, the person who is there to help with the answers will not be able to see your question. And I know on Monday I was like desperately texting, and it was not the best of situations. So I thought I'd make a little announcement about that. So just another reminder, direct your questions to everyone if you want everyone to see them, and particularly if you would like an answer. All right. So the first question, and I'm not sure whether I mentioned that the order in which we will call upon the nominees to answer was also determined randomly, and so we'll be juggling, which nominee will get the question first. So first up, we have a question for Tracy. And Tracy, what qualities do you bring to the role of secretary that are needed?
Thank you, Phyllis. So the qualities that I bring to the role of secretary that I think are needed is I'm diligent, I'm organized. I think that I like to listen to all perspectives and make sure that everybody's voice is heard. So there's a need for fairness in the role, as well as the qualities of making sure that everything is recorded correctly and making sure that the legal requirements of the organization are met, and communication with my fellow leaders as well as with the staff is a key as well.
Thank you very much. Oh, and I forgot to say, if we're not speaking, probably a good idea to mute oneself. Yeah. All right, great. So Jennifer, the same question for you. What qualities do you bring to the role of secretary that are needed?
Well, pretty much exactly what Tracy said. That was a tough one to get as the second nominee. I bring organizational skills and diligent also, as well as feel competent to be able to transcribe the meetings exactly as they happened. Also, the secretary is an officer of NAEA, which puts you on the executive committee, and also it makes you more prominent, I think, than the directors. And I think my leadership experience in the past is extensive. And I know I've been on a number of executive committees, and I've held the top positions in a lot of organizations such as CSEA and ERSAC. So I think that I really bring that kind of leadership experience as well.
Thank you, Jennifer. And Cynthia, for you, what qualities do you bring to the role of president-elect that are needed?
Thank you. I believe that a president is a gatherer of diverse teams and a uniter of perspectives. And that is what I do well. I know that I don't know everything. I'm a strategic thinker. I strategically think sometimes better about some things than others, but I do know that I cannot do it alone. Presidents should never do it alone. It's a we proposition. Bringing people up through leadership, having them on the team, making good use of an executive committee. It is a committee. We should share with one another. We should also share tasks. Being president is hard. I know this. I spent 2 years as it, and it needs to be more inclusive. You can't do everything, and yet so much of what we structure makes it look that way. It doesn't look attractive to be president. And what I bring is the ability to give everybody permission to help. We help each other. We work as a team. Leadership becomes more attainable. It becomes more attractive. It becomes more sustainable, and it becomes more open to people who have children, families, and jobs, younger people. So I'm skilled in these areas, and I'm a very collaborative leader, and that's what I bring.
Thank you, Cynthia. Next question, first up for Jennifer. Jennifer, as an officer, what would you do to promote a culture of collaboration, cooperation, and transparency?
Well, I already have been working on transparency for this board. I did suggest that we open up the board workshops to the general membership so that they can see what's happening ahead of time in our meetings. We tend to have a board meeting where a motion is brought, it's been discussed at a workshop so that people understand, so the board members understand what exactly we're talking about, and we can question things and state a position ahead of time so that we're all on the same page, but the members sometimes don't have any idea what we're talking about. So I have proposed that we open up the board workshop that precedes the board meetings so that the members can have a more informal opportunity to voice their opinions and to learn what exactly we're talking about before we get to the formal board meeting where they only have 2 minutes to speak and may not fully understand what the issue is that we're talking about. I think that we also need to have more dialogue with the members. I'm really pleased with the member survey that we recently completed. So we've got some input now from the general membership about what they want, but I think we need to be listening more and being more inclusive. I think that we, besides needing to listen more, I think that our organization needs to be more welcoming of all diverse people, and be more welcoming to all people, no matter who they are.
Thank you, Jennifer. And Cynthia, the same question for you. As an officer, what would you do to promote a culture of collaboration, cooperation, and transparency?
Well, I think Jennifer laid it out beautifully. But what I would add is that that collaboration isn't just at the board level. It's also collaborating with the committee leaders. It's bringing them more to the table than I see where we are right now. It's having a larger team that connects, and mostly it's collaborating with the members. I believe that board members and leaders all across our country, in our states, our committee leaders, I think that they need to want to listen to the members, and they need to show up where they are and hear what they have to say, because that's the only way that we're going to be able to really elevate their voices. Surveys are great, but showing up for these things is just so much more important, and really can't have transparency if you also don't show up for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia. And Tracy, as an officer, what would you do to promote a culture of collaboration, cooperation, and transparency?
Thank you. So tough to follow both of Jennifer and Cynthia. They've covered most of what I would say. I agree with everything. I do believe that opening the board workshops up so that our members can participate and see what's being discussed and see more details of the issues at hand is so important. making sure that we're communicating with the members in as many different ways as we can, because I'm sure a lot of members are not going to read the board book, which is perfectly fine. We have so many other tools and resources at our disposal to communicate the important things that are happening in the organization. So that's as far as transparency goes. For collaboration, we just recently completed or still working through the strategic plan. And during those workshops, having a moderator there and just the structure of those workshops, allowing everyone an opportunity to participate, it's somewhat challenging sometimes in a virtual environment for that to happen, but Zoom has tools available that we can create those types of structures that we know are successful in getting lots of input. And I think that's so important for this organization. It's just a variety of input, not just, as these ladies said, not just from the board, but from our members as well.
Thank you very much, Tracy. And Cynthia, for you, in what ways have you demonstrated a commitment to diversity and inclusion in your work or association? And how will your diversity and inclusion experience inform your contributions as an NAEA board member and officer?
Thank you. Excellent question. When I was growing up, I went to a school. I grew up in Berkeley while my dad was finishing his degree. And where I went to grammar school, Caucasians were a 10% minority. And when we moved to San Jose after my dad graduated, I went to a school where there were almost no people of color, and I felt really lost. And it struck me early that we are a society of many faces. My diversity work has spread. When the IRS decided that they wanted to have community property from same-sex taxpayers and registered domestic partners, that they wanted the community property income, but they did not want to confer upon them the ability to be able to file jointly. It made an absolute tax nightmare because nothing matched the master file. And it was just so terribly unfair to have this one recognition, but not the other. And I dedicated a lot of time and had a lot of help in working with that. And NAEA and Jean Nelson and Bob Kerr and I worked to, and Lonnie Gary, to redesign the 8958. I sit on the Diversity Council in Santa Cruz. I believe that diversity is not just of color and of gender preference. It's of thought. You know, many voices add to the many faces, and sometimes it's hard to hear, and sometimes I don't agree with what people say, and sometimes I'm right and sometimes they're right. But being able to and allow those voices to speak is the most important thing I think we can do to be a professional society.
Thank you, Cynthia. And Tracy, the same question for you. In what ways have you demonstrated a commitment to diversity and inclusion in your work or association? And how will your diversity and inclusion experience inform your contributions as an NAEA board member or officer?
Thank you. So as a member of NAEA, every time that these nomination rounds come up, I've always sought out to nominate and encourage underrepresented populations for leadership positions and on committees. Beyond simply nominating those individuals, I've reached out and encouraged and tried to coach them through the process. I myself am underrepresented from an age perspective, and so putting yourself out there can be challenging. And so I think it's always great to have someone there to encourage you and bring you along. I have a master's degree in social work, so I'm highly aware and have a deep understanding of the systemic, cultural, and emotional challenges that we face, and always aware of implicit biases. And I think that that's something that really directs the way that I interact with the world.
Thank you, Tracy. And Jennifer, in what ways have you demonstrated a commitment to diversity and inclusion in your work or association? And how will your diversity and inclusion experience inform your contributions as an NAEA board member and officer?
Thank you. Well, one thing that immediately came to mind when you asked this was I am observing. I'm a supporting member of the Diversity and Equity and Inclusion Task Force this year, and the chair, Ty Gaines, gave a really great presentation at SSLA last month about inclusion, diversity, and equity, and a lot of the things that she talked about I wasn't aware of. But what came to me was that we need to, because our organization is not terribly diverse at this point, where the member survey demographics told us that we are almost 100% white, and that we are also an older organization. Our average age is in the 60s, which it has always been. But I think what we need to do is, besides just bringing in younger members into the field and into the organization, is there's a lot of underrepresented youth out there. And the enrolled agent credential, or the enrolled agent profession, is ideal for someone who either doesn't have the opportunity or doesn't have the desire to go to a four-year college. And we need to be bringing those people in to have a lot more diversity, because when we have more diversity, we have a broad range of opinions and experiences and backgrounds that we can pull from, and it makes us a better organization in general. I think I may have missed part of that question. That was a long question. But my commitment is to making sure that we become a more diverse organization, and that we assist underrepresented youth who have an interest in the tax world, because this is the ideal industry for them.
Thank you, Jennifer. Tracy, one of NAEA's primary advocacy efforts has been to encourage Congress to provide additional funding for the IRS. Do you agree with this objective, and how do you feel this furthers NAEA's advocacy efforts?
Thank you, Phyllis. So I can understand how this can be a controversial question if you have the perspective that the government should operate within the budget that they've been provided. However, at the end of the day, there's taxpayers that are suffering because of the understaffing that we have at the IRS right now. So I believe that this advocacy effort is important, and I do agree with it. We all have had the experience this year with not being able to even get on hold with the IRS, and we're not able to serve our clients. And this is directly related to Congress continuing to cut budget for the IRS. So I think this is critical, and it's directly in line with what this organization stands for. It's important for us as enrolled agents, and it's important for our clients.
Thank you, Tracy. Jennifer, one of NAEA's primary advocacy efforts has been to encourage Congress to provide additional funding to the IRS. Do you agree with this objective, and how do you feel this furthers NAEA's advocacy efforts?
Well, this is an easy question. I do support that. As we know, the IRS is broken. But their funding was cut for 10 years straight, starting in about 2009. And it got worse and worse. And we all saw that with wait times and untrained staff at both, in every level of the IRS, untrained appeals officers, ACS, the practitioner priority service. And the long wait times have just made it almost impossible to do representation. The reason that it serves NAEA to request and support additional funding for the IRS, besides what I just mentioned, is they are just not functioning. We all have had a million phone calls from clients who didn't get their refunds this year. And that was partially a COVID related thing, but it's also just that there is not the staff. They are finally hiring some people, but customer service has gone just through the basement. And not only does that serve taxpayers to increase the funding for that, but it helps us in our business. And that's the reason that we support the IRS and stay connected to the IRS. It's the only way we can have them answer our phone calls when we do have a problem. And they have been receptive to NAEA just because we are a player in that. But in general, the IRS needs to be funded much better in training and customer service functions, and just to make our jobs even possible.
Thank you, Jennifer. And Cynthia, same question for you. One of NAEA's primary advocacy efforts has been to encourage Congress to provide additional funding to the IRS. Do you agree with this objective, and how do you feel this furthers NAEA's advocacy efforts?
I do agree with this objective for all of the reasons that Tracy Ann and Jennifer mentioned. They've really covered it all. If you have been fortunate or unfortunate like I have to get letters from the IRS for clients that say they owe all sorts of money that they don't, and the transcript that the letters that come in have figures that are meaningless, and then you can't get through, then you know that funding is important. I've had the privilege to listen to Commissioner Rettig, not only through NAEA, but he made a presentation to the Franchise Tax Board Advisory Board, of which I'm a member. And he spent 45 minutes talking about how frustrated he is with not being able to provide service. He's had to pull people off service to go and take care of collections because he has to. And we need the service to come back. And this does further our organization. I mean, our job, is to help the taxpayer, and we can't help them if we can't get through to the IRS.
Thank you very much, Cynthia. The next question first is for Jennifer. Jennifer, how can board members best facilitate the work of NAEA committees?
Well, I think that we need to do some revamping on the way the board committees are structured. This year, I noticed that we have numerous people, the same people that we see every year, serving on committees, most of them serving on more than one committee. And I didn't see a whole lot of fresh blood when I looked at the committee lists for this year. I know last year they had board members being committee chairs, which I think is a really bad idea. It completely restricts the pool of new leaders coming in. And we just need to bring in more people to be more inclusive in the committees. I think having a board liaison to each committee is a good idea for next year and future years, but to not have the committees full of board members, it's just the same people talking at each other that talk to each other on a regular basis now. We do need to bring fresh blood in and have committees that are diverse, and just we need more people coming in.
Thank you, Jennifer. Cynthia, same question for you. How can board members best facilitate the work of NAEA committees?
Well, one of the issues that we have currently is that the board members are assigned, pretty much due to strength and passion, I would think, to a committee, but that's the committee they're assigned to. I had to actually beg to be able to attend the membership committee and any of the subcommittee meetings because, and bylaws, I'm sorry, I'm on bylaws, and finance and budget, because I felt I need to know these things. In my other leadership experience, board members have attended all of these meetings. It's encouraged, and that finance and budget was a requirement. The only way that you can help facilitate truly the work of the committees is to at least attend some of the meetings, to have some understanding, and to show that you care, that you care about the work that they do. So I want to open that up, and I want to have a board culture, if not a directive, that board members attend these meetings as best they can. It's important. And yes, we need more people on the committees. And some of that is that when you come in, you have this 1 year that you're rushing in to be president, and then you're rushing out, and you often will grab who's already on there, the people that you know. But we do have a leadership development subcommittee now that's looking for people and talent. And again, if board members and officers are making phone calls and attending SSLA meetings and seeing who's floating to the top and talking to people and not poaching from the states, but encouraging people to come up and be on these committees, we would have the diversity that we seek. And we need more members on the committees. I don't know if we need as many committees as we have now, but we need more members, and they're out there, but we just have to know who they are.
Thank you, Cynthia. And Tracy, how can board members best facilitate the work of NAEA committees?
Thank you. I believe that Jennifer and Cynthia have covered a good bit of that. I would just add to what they've said. Volunteering and at the committee level, and not, of course, at the board level, can be a huge time commitment that I think that many people don't have at their disposal. Zoom makes it all a lot more feasible, but I would suggest the concept of micro volunteering. So you have your core committee members, you have those 5 or 6 people that are really driving everything, but they have a subcommittee of their own of 10, 15 other members that have committed to a couple hours a year, 30 minutes a month, whatever it is, to accomplish some of those tasks that can be just a huge lift for the people on the committee or on the board, where you're having to make all these phone calls or these specific contacts. If you have micro volunteering in place, you have someone I have committed that I will make 2 phone calls. I will call 2 people that I know and encourage them to join a committee. That type of volunteering, I think that we have a surplus of members that would be willing to commit that level of time. I had sent out a poll a few years ago to the NAEA membership to participate at volunteering at the conference, but also asked for their interest in joining committees. And I had so many people that responded, but we don't have a system in place right now that would take that information, or even just have that in place where every year we're sending out that survey to see who would like to be on a committee, and then actually taking those names and emails and getting them connected. That system just doesn't exist right now. And I think that that's something that is a very simple solution and doesn't cost much time or money to put in place.
Thank you, Tracy. And let's see, our next question first to Cynthia. How can NAEA better serve and engage with its affiliates And this is kind of a two-part question. That's the first part. Recently, the Affiliate Council became a subcommittee of the Membership Committee. How do you feel about that change?
Okay. So for the first question, how can NAEA better serve its affiliates and engage? Well, I think right now we have moved to a better system with having the affiliates not meet once a month as a group of 38 or 39, and for whoever shows up, but now they are meeting more regionally. It's smaller groups. Small groups always work the best for conversation and engagement. And I see a lot more hope and change there. But I also believe that we are not necessarily supporting the affiliates that are in trouble. What I see is that the affiliates will attend the meeting and people share what they do extremely well, and it's expected to trickle down, and then everybody on that's not maybe doing that well is expected to soak that up and all of a sudden do it. Well, it doesn't work that way. You know, some of our affiliates really need support. They need governance support. Maybe they don't need to have the same governance. Maybe we need to change our structure and go to more chapter related, but they need help and we need to help them. Leaders, you know, of other affiliates might be able to volunteer and help, but we've got to get in there and ask them what their pain points are, and you know, and provide guidance and assistance to where we can. And I actually forgot the second part of your question.
Let me repeat it for you.
Okay.
I was just thinking I could ask that in a different way. So the second part of the question is, recently the Affiliate Council became a subcommittee of the Membership Committee. How do you feel about that change?
I feel that that was an excellent move. I believe that the Affiliate Council truly has meant well over time, but having it be part of the membership committee and blended in with, you know, part and parcel with all of the aspects of membership that we're working on, having them be in tune with that is making what the Affiliate Council does or the Affiliate Subcommittee does better. And it takes more than 7 people to help the affiliates. And we have 14 states that are unaffiliated, but close to a quarter of our membership. They need to be addressed as well. There's a thirst in the unaffiliates in some areas to have groups that gather. And you know, the Affiliate Council needs to be, or again, the subcommittee, that we need to expand our focus on what do regions need. You know, the best magic in our association happens locally, and that's where the focus needs to be.
Thank you, Cynthia. And this time I've learned my lesson. I will ask each part of the question separately. So the first part is, how can NAEA better serve and engage with its affiliates?
I take it this is mine. Or are you going to Tracy? Is it?
No, I think it's actually for Tracy.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'll get to you.
Thank you. I agree with what Cynthia said, that the new structure for the affiliate council meetings makes a lot of sense, where we have it split up regionally and smaller groups so that everyone can participate in the conversation. As Cynthia said, when it's larger groups, it's hard to hear more of the voices. I think that there are the opportunity for the national organization to support affiliates that would like to participate in grouping some services or offloading some services to NAEA should be made available if it's something they're interested in. but also allowing the affiliates to function independently as they see fit, given that they're typically able to interact with with their members on a more personal level than NAEA can. So I believe that that's the way that we can support the affiliates, is providing the resources that are needed if desired, and encouraging and supporting that interaction.
Thank you. Excuse me. And part 2, recently the Affiliate Council became a subcommittee of the membership committee. How do you feel about that change?
I feel that the change happened because you have a lot of the same members on each committee, and so there was overlapping people and overlapping responsibilities. So I can see the thought process behind why it happened. However, it's a bit confusing of a structure to me, given that affiliates have different needs than general membership. So to have them as a subcommittee to the membership committee, it doesn't necessarily make sense to me. I think that there's that hierarchical structure there rather than having a more flat organization, and the affiliates being able to go directly to the board, directly to the National Association. I think that's critical to improving that dialogue between the affiliates and NAEA. Putting them down underneath the membership committee just seems to be contrary to that goal.
Thank you, Tracy. And Jennifer, part 1, how can NAEA better serve and engage with its affiliates?
Well, first, as Cynthia said, we have a lot of unaffiliated people out there. I really appreciate that the Schuldner-Smolin Leadership Academy has been opened up to all members, whether they are an affiliate leader or unaffiliated. I'm really pleased with that change, to get some leadership training to the affiliates and anyone in an affiliate or out of an affiliate. I think better engaging them. I don't like the idea of going backwards, but when the Affiliate Council was first formed, I was there, and the Apex meetings that they used to have, where I know we can't do live yet, but hoping that we can go back to in-person meetings in the future. Those meetings were really helpful because they were structured so that the affiliate leaders could all talk to each other and learn from each other, but NAEA was there to support them with different trainings and just information about NAEA programs that might be helpful to them. I think the communication has not been great since those old days, where we actually could get the affiliates together and facilitate them learning from one another, and because everyone got better from those. And at that time I was on the California leadership team, and we were able to come in and assist other affiliates who were having the same problems that we had already resolved. So we were able to share our knowledge and share some of our documents and programs to help bring everyone up. Engaging the affiliates, I think just better communication is what's needed. And I realize we have a lot of affiliates that are struggling. And one program that has been done away with on the board years ago, the president would assign different directors to a territory, and they'd be responsible for being a liaison between those affiliates and NAEA. And I thought that was very effective. And I suggested that we try that this year, but it didn't happen. But I'm going to suggest it again next year, that everyone on the board be assigned a region to visit go to their annual meetings and attend their board meetings and just be a facilitator and be there to assist affiliates in any way they need. And then I know that the Affiliate Council becoming a subcommittee of membership, I'm going to disagree with my colleagues. I think that was a bad idea, partly because the affiliates are not happy about it. The Affiliate Council, I've heard a lot of complaints and a lot of criticism that they don't want to be a subcommittee of the membership committee, while the affiliates are really our best generators of membership, because they are down there at the member level. They're holding local meetings where the members can network with one another and get to know each other and get to know more about the affiliate. They really, I don't think they should be a committee of NAEA at all. I think they should remain independent, although they should be supported by NAEA and be given whatever resources they need to facilitate their meetings and to facilitate communication. I think that the affiliate council should remain its own separate entity.
Thank you, Jennifer. Our next question will start out with Tracy. Tracy, NAEA is an organization that exists because of and for its members. What will you do to help NAEA recruit and retain members?
Thank you. So I think that what I bring to the table is a deep understanding of all the resources and technology that are available to us today to reach out to members and prospective members to keep them engaged and also to encourage them to join the organization. I have a lot of experience in online marketing, and I think that that's something that I really can contribute. I'm not sure I answered the full question.
Thank you, Tracy. And Jennifer, I'll ask the question again to you. NAEA is an organization that exists because of and for its members. What will you do to help NAEA recruit and retain members?
Well, I think besides, I know all of us try to recruit members on our own, but I really do think this is more of a function of staff. And I think that our EVP, having an extensive background in membership, as a membership director for the Pennsylvania Society of CPAs, I think she's got a lot of bright ideas. I know we also had, because of the database problems that we have been experiencing for 2 years with this conversion that didn't go well, renewal notices didn't go out to most members, if any members. Members aren't able to get on the website. I think once that's fixed, that Meg and her new membership director will have all sorts of fresh ideas for us to support. But I really do think that's a function of staff and us all as members, is to recruit and retain members. We also need to show more value. And part of that will also be fixing the database issues, having the website up and running, having our social media, the staff that is there to help promote on social media. Literally, staff for the last year has spent all their time answering angry phone calls for people that either can't get into the website or can't get any information because of the database issues. So I think once those are cleared up, we set staff loose on membership, recruitment, and retention, and that's what they are good at.
Thank you, Jennifer. And Cynthia, the same question for you. NAEA is an organization that exists because of and for its members. What will you do to help NAEA recruit and retain members?
I think Jennifer and Tracy Ann both had very solid statements about recruitment. Recruitment is also showing interest. It's just asking one. If we can ask our members to ask somebody, that helps. But we have to be a more attractive organization. And I believe that because of the member feedback we got from the survey, that our new strategic plan will be aiming us in that direction. Again, we have an excellent staff. I think we have a collaborative board. But I think the most important thing is that when people get in, that you treat them well, that they feel that this is their home, that we have civil discourse, that we have many opportunities to connect, and they're easy to get to, and they're on multiple platforms. And people have to get to the membership experience. I'm sorry, get to the membership experience to want to stay and, and to want to invite others.
Thank you, Cynthia. And this is our last question before we go to the closing statements. And first up is Jennifer. Jennifer, what is your vision of NAEA and how will your leadership help achieve that vision?
My vision for NAEA is that it be the home for all enrolled agents, that it be the one organization that everyone feels they must join once they become an enrolled agent. What was the second half of the question? How will I make that?
How will your leadership help achieve that vision?
Great question. I knew you'd ask me one that I just completely went blank on. Thanks. Can you ask me the entire question again from the beginning?
Absolutely. What is your vision of NAEA and how will your leadership help achieve that vision?
Okay, yeah, I see NAEA as the one association that all enrolled agents feel they should join. And I believe that one thing that one of my primary goals as a leader is to be more inclusive and bring in a more diverse membership. One of my main goals is to have a discussion at least about the 30-hour requirement for continuing education, because I think that makes us a more inclusive organization. And I think just providing member value is something that we all need to do collaboratively. And I think I have the skills to assist us in coming to consensus on those issues.
Thank you, Jennifer. And Cynthia, the same question for you. What is your vision of NAEA and how will your leadership help achieve that vision?
NAEA, my vision is a place where members connect, grow, thrive, develop lifelong relationships. And my vision to achieve that is that we become more inclusive, that we establish better connections, meaning that we find every way that we can reach the members where they are and where they want us to be. I believe that we need to unite our membership and under trust, where trusted leadership is trusting the members and the members are trusting the leadership. I think we need to empower our members and we need to serve our members. And keeping the focus on the members is what's going to keep us strong.
Thank you. And Tracy, the same question for you. What is your vision of NAEA and how will your leadership help achieve that vision?
When I first joined NAEA and came to my first conference, my experience was a group of individuals that are so passionate about what they do and excited to encourage a new EA in the profession and share their experience and just great cheerleaders. So I know that that's the backbone of this organization. And I have heard today and other forums about the unwelcoming experience that some people have had. And my vision is that everyone feels the way that I have felt when I've interacted with our members. And there are certain platforms that I won't mention that kind of encourage some of that negativity. But I think that we can overcome that if we remember those personal interactions and how we behave when we're talking to people one-on-one and in person. And I have been tasked for the last several years to try and bring those connections and the fun to our events, our in-person events. And we hit a little snafu with COVID, but also to virtual events as well. When the affiliates started hosting Zoom meetings, I was actually the one behind the curtain, moving people around and into different breakout rooms. And that was the first time that any of us had used that piece of the technology. And, it wasn't perfect. And I don't think that we should always expect perfection, but we've got budget restrictions on top of everything as well. So I think with getting a little bit creative and being willing to try things and just go for it, we can develop those connections and encourage everyone to communicate more on any platform that they're comfortable with, and just make sure that we're reaching people as many ways that we can.
Thank you very much. And believe it or not, Tracy, would you be willing to be our first closing statement presenter? It's a little back to back, so.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to start out by saying I'm very grateful for the time that I have served on the NAEA committees and also as a director. It's been a wonderful experience, and I value and appreciate the member support and for entrusting me to be a member of our leadership team. I'd also like to thank the nominating committee for taking their time and the effort through this process. It's been a great experience. I'm actively working and building a business as an enrolled agent. We've talked a lot about equity, inclusion, and diversity this year. I believe I bring a perspective that has not been the mainstream voice for NAEA officers in the past. Not unheard of, just not the norm. I believe as we head into more challenges, as we overcome the financial hole we found ourselves in, it'll be important to have leaders who represent all the voices that make up NAEA, not just the voices that have been here the longest. I have something to offer, and no matter what happens with this election, I look forward to continuing to work and grow this organization that we all love.
Thank you, Tracy. Next, Jennifer, your closing statement.
Thank you, Phyllis, and my thanks to the entire nominating committee for all of their hard work this year, and I'm very honored to have been nominated for secretary. Leaders not only set the course of an organization, but they set the tone for the board. One reason I ran for the board last year was to help shift this board back to a more civil, respectful, functional group. I believe we've seen a dramatic improvement this year, and I'm confident that we can maintain this atmosphere of camaraderie even when we disagree on issues. We still need to make a concerted effort to become even more transparent, and I have proposed that we increase the opportunities to solicit member feedback and increased input in the board's inner workings at all future meetings. To briefly summarize my qualifications, I am currently a director on the NAEA board, and I chair the NAEA PAC board. In the 3 years I chaired the Government Relations Committee, we produced 2 white papers, and I had the honor of testifying before the Ways and Means Oversight Committee on NAEA's behalf. I'm quite proud that our input to Congress led directly to many of the provisions in the Taxpayer First Act. While I will always be passionate about NAEA government relations, I firmly believe that we need to focus on building membership back, and that's key to NAEA's survival. Greater numbers allow us to do more and add value for all members, to garner even more influence on Capitol Hill, and to attain more visibility to the public. To make NAEA stronger, I think it is time that we look at what kind of organization we'd like to be. We are either the organization for all enrolled agents, or we are a place for all elite enrolled agents. If NAEA is to be the home for all enrolled agents, I do believe that the requirement of 30 hours of CE annually should be abandoned. While we all value the higher ethical standards required for NAEA membership, the 30-hour requirement is a barrier to entry and does not support a more inclusive association. Finally, my past leadership experience will serve me well as an officer of NAEA. I've served in top positions on all sorts of nonprofits for the past 25 years, from volunteering as a Cub Scout PAC chair to the president of CSEA to the chair of ERSAC. I have the proven ability to build consensus in groups with diverse opinions, which requires listening more than talking and interpreting individuals' desires to find solutions that can bring people to compromise. Thank you for your time, and thank you to all of the attendees for their interest in NAEA's future.
Thank you, Jennifer. And Cynthia, last but not least,
Thank you.
your closing statement.
Good afternoon. I want to thank everyone here for taking the time to listen to what we nominees believe are the best paths for the association and your membership experience. Each of us deeply care about what is important to you and how we can serve you better. I realize that my nomination for president-elect is a bit unorthodox since I have been on the board for just this year and many of you do not know me. As my bio is posted on the website with other nominees, I believe that the best way to introduce myself is to share my values and what I will bring to the table as president-elect and then president. First, I value the word we. It's collective, inclusive, and unifying. For NAEA, it begins with a compelling and shared vision and speaks to our members no matter where they are in their professional journey. Putting we before I builds trust and keeps the leadership focus where it belongs, on the members. I value conversation that is open and interested, meaning everyone speaks and everyone listens. There has been a lot of talk in our association about transparency. For me, transparency is more than just disclosure. It also has a feedback element that invites conversation and adds ideas for consideration. When people feel heard, they know they are respected. I value knowledge. Knowledge is empowerment, and empowerment is the duty of this association. I believe in meeting members' educational needs where they are and not where we think they should be. There is no shame in needing training. The shame is when we ignore relevant education in favor of elitism. Leaders also benefit by training and access to information. Having confident leaders throughout our organization enhances the membership experience for us all. I value integrity. Our profession demands it for tax work, and our organization should demand it in all of our interactions. Integrity means treating members as valued stakeholders. It means ensuring equitable access to participation in an atmosphere of mutual respect. We need to moderate the loudest voices and turn up the quiet ones, and there must be zero tolerance everywhere for disrespectful behavior. I value collaborative governance, collective wisdom, and I believe in the power of teams. Teamwork is not only a state of doing, but also a state of mind involving cooperation, curiosity in others, and consensus building. Collective wisdom means that we seek opinions from our stakeholders and reflect back the results. These are processes that take more time than unilateral decision-making. Denying them stifles diversity of thought and hinders successful and lasting results. And finally, I value most the connections and personal relationships that only an association like ours can provide. It is the glue that holds us and me together. Thank you so much for your consideration.
Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Tracy. And in closing, I want to remind everyone that all of the campaign statements are on the NAEA website. We'll have links to this recording as well as a link to the Monday recording, which is already there. And those links have been posted several times by Angela. Thank you, in the chat box. And voting will take place between December 1st and 15th via email ballot. Many thanks to the NAEA nominating committee, Gary Anspach, Leslie Castile, Raven Deerwater, Natasha Johnson, Mary Sunderland, and our chair, Angela Raddick. It's been truly an honor and a pleasure to serve with all of these great folks on the committee. Thanks again to all of the nominees, to the NAEA staff for facilitating this event, and last but not least, to you, our members and our audience. Have a wonderful rest of your day, a great weekend, a happy Thanksgiving, and a festive, restful, and restorative holiday season. Take care, everyone.